There's so much focus on optimizing the time you spend awake that you probably ignored an avenue that can bring you 10 times the benefit you're already trying to gain. And the best part, the effort you need to put in is tiny. Better sleep will give you clearer skin, make you less stressed, and be able to make you perform at your best. Now let's see how it's done. So for those of you that are new, I'm Tom, and I dive into topics like these to understand how they can benefit my life in particular. But what I want to do is give you the benefits and different tools so that you can input little bits here and there and really work around building this into your life however you can, as I know the optimal life isn't always the most accessible. So when our sleep quality improves, so does our regulation of leptin and ghrelin. Specifically, we keep leptin levels high, which suppresses our appetite, and we keep ghrelin levels low, which reduces excess hunger. Proper sleep also improves our insulin sensitivity, and this allows us to reduce weight gain and the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, as well as allowing us to process glucose a lot better. Moving on to skin and circulation now, as someone who grew up with a fair amount of acne throughout my school years, I wish I'd have known about the benefits of proper sleep sooner. But when we sleep, we enter a period of repair and regeneration, and this allows our cells to regenerate and repair damage from environmental stresses like UV. Not too much of a problem in December in London, I must say. During this state of repair, especially during our deep sleep, our blood cells widen in a process called vasodilation, and this allows for improved circulation throughout the body to promote more rapid repair of any damaged areas. This vasodilation is made even more impactful by the fact that our heart rate and blood pressure decrease while we sleep, which allows us to pump blood around the body more efficiently. So overall, while we do sleep, we're pumping, through wider blood cells via the vasodilation, more nutrients and oxygen around the body to increase the level of repair. With this topic, there are going to be benefits that you can see overnight, and those that are going to take a little bit longer, maybe a few months. And when it comes to skin, we're definitely in that longer term benefit bucket. So consistency is going to be really key here before you can literally see those effects on your face. Now, with regards to athletic performance, my view before doing this research was that better sleep only helps with the prevention of muscle breakdown and recovery, but the benefits extend far beyond that. For instance, during deep sleep, we release growth hormones that can help to repair and build new muscle tissue, as well as reducing inflammation and muscle soreness, and this then allows for more effective recovery and subsequent training. Also, during deep and REM sleep too, our brain is able to better process what we've done throughout the day, and this brings huge benefits for muscle memory, but also the execution of complex movements for the next time that we attempt them. Now, I will go into the difference between REM and deep sleep in a future video, but I'll park that for now. Interestingly, it can also have a benefit on reaction times, as when we sleep, we reduce that latency between taking that information in and then translating it to a physical action. Over time, this will lead to a lot more fluid and controlled movements. It also ensures that the neural pathways involved in reflexes are well maintained, which in time will lead to quicker reaction times. Now, outside of sport, this could apply to anything that requires precise timing. Sleep also helps promote synaptic plasticity, which is the ability of synapses, which are the connections between neurons, to strengthen or weaken over time. This helps the brain to adapt to new motor tasks and also to refine coordination. One study that I read into looked at the differences in aerobic performance. This consisted of a 10-minute warm-up and then a 20-minute cycle at 75% of the participants' respective VO2 maxes. Now, Group 1 had adequate sleep and Group 2 had a total of 3 hours of wakefulness over the night. And what they found was what we expected. After the first 9 minutes, the heart rate of the group that had adequate sleep was on average 4 beats lower. Now, after 20 minutes, the average was 3 beats lower. Ventilation was also very different between the two groups, but to be honest, I have no idea how to interpret the figures or what they mean. And overall, the group with restricted sleep had a higher physiological demand and also got exhausted a lot sooner. There are also some really interesting studies done on tennis serving accuracy, anaerobic power, and isometric force, which I recommend checking out as well. I'll try and leave a link to those papers below. So this part is going to focus on the mental benefits we get from proper hormonal control that arise from better sleep quality and time. During REM sleep, our brain is able to process emotions and experiences from the day, and this allows us to wake up feeling a lot more relaxed and with a lot more mental clarity. So the next time someone tells you to sleep on it or see how you feel in the morning, there is actually some truth behind it. Quality sleep also balances two major hormones within the body, serotonin and cortisol, and the proper regulation of both of these will help reduce the onset of anxiety, and especially with regards to regulating serotonin, the proper regulation will help us reduce the risk of depression over time. Serotonin and cortisol are quite interesting because they also involved in the sleep-wake cycle, so they will influence the amount of sleep you have and how deep it is. So it's an interesting relationship between those two, which we'll explore in a bit. Now, the other two major hormones that sleep will help regulate are norepinephrine and GABA. GABA, which stands for gamma-aminobutyric acid, helps us to reduce neuronal excitability and then also to promote relaxation, which in turn, both of these will help us fall asleep faster, then stay asleep for longer. whereas the proper regulation of norepinephrine helps with alertness and focus. Now, when it comes to those cognitive benefits, Dr. Matthew Walker has a brilliant podcast episode with Dr. Andrew Huberman going into this in a beautiful amount of detail, and it's so easy to understand. I'll leave a link below so you can go check it out. I think they've done 2 or 3, so they really go into this topic in a lot of detail. And during deep and REM sleep, what happens is that the brain processes and then transfers information from the hippocampus, which is responsible for short-term memory, to the neocortex, which is responsible for long-term memory. It also helps to strengthen synaptic connections, which are crucial for memory recall and retention, which is going to give you access to that information exactly when you need it. Similar to how the brain can improve memory function and reaction times, it does a similar thing for our problem-solving ability, because when we sleep, we can actually go through those complex problems unconsciously to help our brains better understand them. Now, finally, during sleep, our brain's lymphatic system is a lot more active, and what this lymphatic system is responsible for is the removal of waste. This can take the form of amyloid proteins or anything that can clog up those neural communications. This maintenance is really crucial for brain function and memory. So they're the benefits all done and dusted. If that's what you came for, please feel free to turn off now. I wouldn't be offended. What I want to do now is just dive into circadian rhythm a little bit, because when I was researching this topic, I kind of uncovered how important it was. Circadian rhythm is kind of like the court of owls in Batman, and I know that's a really nerdy reference. What I mean by that is that it's a 24-hour cycle that persists in the absence of any exogenous time signals, and behind the curtains, behind the scenes, it's responsible for influencing so many processes within the body. You know, it influences metabolic functions and hormone production. But aside from that, it really regulates the sleep-wake cycle, which is why I wanted to dive into it in a little bit more detail. The primary circadian clock is located in the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus in the brain. And the SCN is responsible for coordinating this sleep-wake cycle by sending various signals to the brain and the body at various times in that circadian rhythm. The SCN is also very sensitive to light, which is a critical cue in regulating the circadian rhythm. Light exposure, and especially blue light, can help to incite wakefulness, but also reset the circadian clock. And that's where the sort of adage comes from, or the advice comes from, to not really look at too many bright lights or blue screens right before bed. Melatonin and cortisol also follow circadian cycles. What cortisol will do is it will peak during the morning to incite wakefulness and alertness, and then it will slowly taper off throughout the day. Whereas melatonin, on the other hand, will start tapering up in the afternoon and it will peak during the night to promote sleep. Body temperature also follows a circadian rhythm and typically will reach our lowest core body temperature during the night. In line with this, colder body temperatures will promote sleep, whereas warmer body temperatures will promote wakefulness. And this is probably why during the night, when you feel quite cold and you try and claw back the covers, you felt quite warm when you drifted off. Now, this circadian rhythm can shift in response to different time zones or different work shifts, but what we don't want to do is change or disrupt this too much in the short term. What we want to do is keep this really consistent, as that's where we're going to see these benefits. Now, we can entrain our circadian rhythm with the help of Zeitgebers. I hope I'm saying that right. These are external cues, the most powerful of which is light, but they also include meal times, meditations, environments. And I am going to go into all of this in a future video. That's going to be a good one. As always, hope you enjoyed. I think the biggest takeaway for me personally was the benefits that proper sleep can have on your emotional health, as waking up feeling refreshed can do so much for your daily momentum. Now, the next video I put out is going to be on protocols that you can undertake to improve your sleep and see benefits pretty much overnight. But until then, if I don't see you sooner, I'll definitely see you later. Have a great rest of your day.